think of Italian exotics on two wheels, a few names spring to mind, and Aprilia is one of them because they make fast, exciting and technology-loaded motorcycles, which, like most Italian exotics, are out of reach for most of us Aam Janta riders. But when it came to Auto Expo 2016, the dream of owning an Aprilia became quite real, thanks to this, the Aprilia SR 150. Yes, it is a scooter, but it's got lots of attitude, huh? The twin lamps embedded in the pointy beak stare hard at you. But from some angles, the front can look a bit awkward. There's a sharp and waspy design for all the plastic panels. The racy graphics add to the sportiness of the SR 150. The stance backs up the attitude as well. There are large 14-inch wheels with meaty rubber and telescopic forks, which give it a confident and aggressive look. But being an Italian, it has plenty of neat details as well, like the floating apron panel, the flush-folding pillion foot pegs, the contrast-colored seat, and a split grab rail. All put together, it is quite a head-turner. Now, when it comes to modern-day scooters, we're used to getting a lot of extras. For instance, a remote release for the boot, and well, lots of space to store stuff in the boot, or a LED light to illuminate the boot, or well, a remote fuel filler opener, a charging point or a USB point. But the SR 150 has none of that. What it has instead is an engine, a really strong engine. The SR 150 uses the 154cc engine derived from the Vespa 150, and it has 11.6 horsepower and 11.5 Newton meters of torque. But the engine uses a longer crankcase to adapt it for the SR 150's size. On the road, this Aprilia feels fast. The ease with which it gets to 80 kph is frankly a bit shocking. And its ability to get to an indicated 100 kph is just as impressive. What makes it even more impressive is that it's got strong low-speed responses as well, which will make nipping through city traffic easy and fun. Now this is really funny. You may have noticed that the power and torque figures are the same as the Vespa 150, but apparently Aprilia engineers have made certain changes to the engine, but they're just not willing to share what they've done. They wanted to make this the fastest scooter in India, and right now it really does feel like it. But what's really impressive isn't the outright power, it's the responsiveness of the engine and the drivetrain. The way they work with the throttle inputs is just so precise and so connected. And these are things that we normally do not expect or get with scooters. And you know, there are a couple of rough edges. For instance, at idle, you can feel a vibration at the bar. You can feel that pulsing quite apparently. And well, the note from the engine is a bit rough-edged. But when you get going, it doesn't matter. These aren't deal breakers. And when you hit the road, you'll forget all about it because that's where the chassis comes into play. The Aprilia uses a tubular underbone chassis, a telescopic front fork, a monoshock at the rear, 120 by 70 14-inch V-rubber tires. There's a 220mm disc brake from Bybre and a 240mm drum at the rear. All of this put together promises a lot, and the Aprilia does deliver. The brakes are properly strong, but thankfully they aren't too sharp. The suspension setup keeps body movement in check, so you can really chuck this into corners. Thanks to the larger wheels, the Aprilia doesn't feel twitchy to steer, and it gives you a lot of stability through the corners and at higher speeds. The V-rubber tires offer a lot of grip, and despite everything, it has a properly useful turning radius. Now the only downside to this setup, if at all, is that over rippled tarmac,
the suspension does feel a bit jittery, but there are several upsides. For instance, even riding with a pillion at higher speeds, it feels very confident and composed. It doesn't feel loose or wallowy. And the other thing is that because of the way it is set up, because of the tires, the larger rims, when you hit a pothole or a bump, it doesn't crash. So the thing is that the setup is firm a little bit, but it isn't harsh.
The rider's seat is wide, generous and well cushioned. The pillion seat is a bit on the small side. The riding position is comfy with enough room for taller riders, but the leg space isn't as much as on some other scooters. There's a 6-litre fuel tank and that should give you enough range. When it comes to under-seat storage, you have enough room for a half-face helmet or a smaller helmet. The simple switchgear includes a pass flash switch, which is a very handy feature. The all-analog instrument cluster looks a bit boring. There's no digital display to keep costs down. Also, some plastics feel a bit tough. Interestingly, the side stand will be offered as a compulsory accessory, and that means the 65,000 rupee ex-showroom price will increase a bit. The SR150 will be available in 2 colors for now and will be available through the 100-odd Vespa dealerships and 4 motorplexes across the country. Compared to the closest rivals from Japan, which is the Honda Activa 125 and the Suzuki Axis 125, the Aprilia will be just a bit more expensive.
So at the end of the day, if you're looking for a regular scooter to commute on, the SR150 is something you can find several things to nitpick about. You could argue that it could have had more features, could have been a bit more comfortable in terms of ride, could have been a bit more practical when it comes to space, and could have been cheaper. But really, the SR150 isn't for you. It's for people who are looking for something that has the practicality of the scooter, but packs in a lot of fun, excitement, and makes a statement. And the SR150 does that really well, and at 65,000 rupees, it's kind of hard to argue against it. The strange thing is, Aprilia insists this is not a scooter. And I'd have to agree with them because after riding it, you feel that it has the soul of a motorcycle. I'm gonna call it the Hoot Scoot.